Some of the most powerful prayers in the Bible didn't happen on knees, they happened on bed, and that changes how you think about prayer. Prayer in the Bible was never measured by posture, it was measured by surrender. Yes, kneeling shows reverence, but Scripture never commands a single physical position for prayer. David didn't just pray on his knees, he prayed on his bed, in his weakness, in his exhaustion. Psalm 63 verse 6 says, "On my bed I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night." That's not laziness. That's intimacy. Another moment people overlook, Hezekiah. When the prophet Isaiah told him he would die, Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed, lying down. And God didn't rebuke him. God extended his life. 2 Kings 21-5. Why? Because God responds to honest hearts, not perfect form. Even Jesus in the garden didn't pray polished prayers. He prayed under pressure, sweat like blood, posture broken, words raw. Prayer isn't a performance, it's a relationship. God isn't waiting for you to impress him. He's waiting for you to turn toward him, no matter where your body is. When praying lying down is powerful, and when it weakens you, praying while lying down isn't the problem. Why you're lying down is. There are moments when lying down prayer is powerful, when you're exhausted but still choosing God, when your heart is heavy and words come slow, when the day is quiet and honesty finally rises. That kind of prayer isn't weak, it's humble. But there's another side the Bible warns us about. When lying down turns into drifting, when prayer becomes half-awake words with no attention, when God is an afterthought instead of the focus, that's not rest, that's disengagement. Jesus warned his disciples in Gethsemane, "The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." They weren't judged for resting, they were corrected for sleeping when they were called to watch. Sometimes your posture reveals your priority. If lying down helps you open your heart to God, keep praying. If it consistently pulls you into distraction, change your position. Not because God demands it, but because discipline protects intimacy. God responds to direction, not position. Throughout Scripture, God responds when people turn toward him, not when they get into a perfect stance. Hezekiah turned his face to the wall. Jonah prayed from the belly of a fish. No posture, no altar, no audience. David prayed in caves, fields, and yes, on his bed. What mattered wasn't where their bodies were, it was where their attention went. Prayer begins the moment your heart faces God. That's why a whispered prayer in the dark can carry more weight than a loud prayer said out of habit. God isn't tracking your posture, he's responding to your direction. Why guilt sneaks in when you pray lying down. Here's why guilt often shows up in these moments. Not because God is displeased, but because we've been trained to measure devotion by effort. We quietly believe, if I'm not kneeling, am I even serious? If I'm comfortable, am I being careless with God? But the Bible never teaches that comfort cancels sincerity. Guilt says, you're not doing enough. Conviction says, come closer. One pushes you away from prayer. The other pulls you deeper into it. If lying down is the only way you're still choosing to talk to God, that's not disrespect, that's dependence. God would rather hear a tired, honest prayer than see you avoid him out of shame. Remember, Jesus never rejected anyone for coming weak. He only corrected hearts that were distant. If guilt is making you stop praying, that guilt is not from God. God doesn't measure your prayer by posture. He measures it by presence. What God is really listening for. When you pray, God isn't asking, are you kneeling? He's asking, are you present? Because prayer isn't a position you take, it's a direction you turn. You can lie flat and be fully surrendered. You can kneel and be completely distracted. God listens for honesty, for attention, for hearts that turn toward him, even when they're tired. So if you're lying down and still choosing God, he hears you. And if he ever asks you to rise, it's not to impress him, it's to awaken you. Tonight, when you pray, don't ask, is this the right posture? Ask, is my heart fully turned toward God right now? And if this changed how you think about prayer, write, He hears me in the comments. Because the God who listens to whispered prayers in the dark is closer than you think.